Welcome into episode number 5 of Cheers to Baseball, presented by Old Dominic. He's Chris Dimino. I'm Kevin McAlpin. Glad to have you with us as we kick off a new week. And Chris, certainly lots of baseball news to talk about when it comes to the hot stove. You and I will have a couple of weeks to do that here moving forward. But let's start locally here in Atlanta. Some news that I know a lot of folks weren't overly thrilled to hear. Ron Washington, longtime third base coach and infield guru with the Braves, getting another opportunity to manage with the Angels. It's a 2-year deal. So selfishly, I'm sure you feel the way I do. Hate to see Wash go, but man, oh man, what a legacy he's left in this town.
So it was sort of making the rounds that like it was an exclusive thing that Ron Washington wants to manage again. And I was like, okay, who didn't know that? Because the man has said it out loud. The Astros thing came up because of Dana Brown. We, in the middle of September, said, I'm not sure, but there's a chance with Perry Manassian. They're going to make a change in Anaheim, and they did. And then here it is. It's a 2-year deal. Now, Eric Young looks like he's going to go with him as well. Looks like he's going to be the third base coach. I think Clint Hurdle might get the bench coaching job. But I had a chance to talk and text with Wash for a couple of days last week, and he's ecstatic. And look, they're so up in the air. Is Mike Trout going to be there? What are they going to do? Rendon's contract. Can they get in and find pitching finally?
Yeah.
But Ron Washington is going to attack this like they're a World Series favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason. They need a reset. You know, they don't win. And if I was looking to win, I think it's a great hire. Is it a long-term hire? No. It's a 2-year deal. But Ron Washington is going to go in there with, I'm assuming, the general manager's blessing to teach guys how to play baseball. Because while they've spent a lot of money, they've gotten nothing out of it. My guess is, fundamentally, they're going to have to be a better baseball team, and that's why they're bringing this guy in.
Well, you certainly had a chance to work with Wash, so we've talked so much about the drills and what he does every single day with these guys out on the field, and you had a chance to sort of go through some of those drills with him a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it's, is it basic? Kind of. But when guys do it every day, what you're doing is you're creating a feeling of, I'm going to attack the baseball. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make a play today. I'm not going to have something play me. And you're just looking to find outs. That's the whole thing, Kevin. You don't want to be giving up 28, 29, 30 outs. If you give somebody a 10th inning, it's hard to win. Mm-hmm. This stuff is as basic as it gets with the premise, we're not going to make mistakes today. We're going to be drilled to not make mistakes today. And that's really the concept of all this. And there's been a bunch of guys who've won a bunch of Gold Gloves in and around Ron Washington.
I mean, just think about the progress we've seen. Ozzie Albies, he was always a plus defender, but look at Austin Riley and the progress he's made these last 4, 5, 6 years working with Wash. And there's so many other guys who could say the very same thing about it's footwork, it's going through, it's doing these things every single day that might seem elementary. It might seem like this is what my son's 8.5-year-old travel ball team does. But this is what the big leaguers do. And again, it's all fundamentals. It's learning how to do the little things, execute. So when you do get to the game, it's second nature for you.
The other part of this is, let's take maybe what you don't have as a tool that's an optimum tool. Look, Ozzie doesn't have a great arm. So what do? You tell him to attack the baseball. You tell him to put himself in a position where he can get rid of it quickly. Austin Riley does have a big arm, but for a while it was, is it going to fly? Is it going to be in the dirt? You create balance, and you create a situation where not only does he pick, but he sets himself up to throw. I just love the idea that, look, even as a third base coach, and we'll get to a little bit of that in a second, when Ron Washington is in your dugout, you are going to be told the truth. There's going to be an upbeat nature until you need to be told the truth, and that's what's going to be missing. Now, I'm not telling any tales out of school, but I was with Brian Snicker at an event on Friday night, and let me just tell you, these 2 jobs are coveted. And again, Brian Snicker's getting texts, and we joked. He said, I don't even know how some guys got my number. And I said, well, when there's a job to be had for a team that is going to be, again, a World Series contender, if not the favorite to get to the World Series, people are going to want to be around it. Yeah. Because whether it's a stepping stone or it's a stop for veteran guys, they know the atmosphere around here has been set because that group was together for 6+ years,
Yeah.
which doesn't happen in baseball, especially for a team that wins.
Yeah, you're exactly right about it. I would say the Brave fans are fortunate they had this coaching staff intact as long as it was. I wanted to throw something out there because a lot of folks don't get to see what happens in the clubhouse. They don't know what happens behind the curtain. You've been in that clubhouse as much as I have over the years, and I always looked forward to walking in that room at 3:30 in the afternoon, and you would see, 40 some odd chairs around the room, and you would see a piece of paper on there. And every single day, Wash would go in and he would write a little motivational saying, a little thing that you've probably heard 50 times over the course of your life. He would autograph it. He would photocopy it. It went on everybody's chair. So some guys would come in, they would read it, they would put it in their locker. Some guys would ball it up and throw it out, wouldn't even take a peek at it. This guy, though, wanted to get his guys fired up before they even took the field. Again, you know what he did on the field with the drills and the work that he put in, but just those little things to go above and beyond, I think that was such a classy gesture for him as well.
He also earned his right to sit at the managerial table again.
Yeah.
Now, you need somebody in your corner. Perry Manassian knows. Look, the good news is when you're around it long enough, there might be somebody. Now, again, he could have been passed over. They could have gone in a different direction. But I just know that organization knows they need a reset. Ohtani's leaving. Maybe the Trout thing is going to happen where he gets traded. They have to reset. And the owner's not going to be liked. I don't know if they're going to draw $3 million a year because I think there might be finally a little bit of a backlash. But I think this is a guy who, in his 2 years, if it's not longer, he's going to set them up to be a better baseball team. I don't want to say organization. That's not his job. But what you see from 1 in the afternoon till out there, whatever time a game might end locally, 10 o'clock, 10:30, they have to put a better product out, and that's why you hired him.
Think about the star power just on this Atlanta Braves team over the years. You've had Freddie Freeman. You have Ronald Acuna Jr., who we all feel like the next step for him is the MVP this year. All the other great, high caliber players on this team. And one of my favorite things was opening day and then the first day of a postseason series when they line everybody up. Wash got a louder ovation than just about anybody else that came out. That shows it's not very often a third base coach becomes a sort of a cult hero like Wash became over the years.
Best I can tell, he's got 3 fake Twitter accounts. 3. Not 1, not 2. People have actually put out, and it's videos and it's sayings and it's, dancing in the dugout. Look, at the end of the day, he and Ozzie have gone back and forth, and it's been really funny. But it's also been at times, okay, this is now time to get serious.
Yeah.
It's the job. And I do think that you need a combo of that in your dugout every day. But 3 fake Twitter accounts is just, to me, like if you want the ultimate respect. And they're not dogging him. Yeah. They're just accounts that want to have fun with his personality and his character.
Do you have a fake Twitter account yet?
I don't.
You don't?
I mean, I don't. I'm believing I don't. I don't know.
You never know.
You never know.
3 or 4 are going to pop up overnight once this video gets posted.
I think we have a couple of clips of Wash down in spring training, right? You have a chance to catch up with him, and it's funny. You might catch up with him on a golf cart. You might catch up with him standing on the field. You might catch up with him on a backfield. There was some stuff that went on that's just it's what you need to break up. I don't want to call it monotony, but it's monotony over 7 months. You need something to break it up, and this guy was certainly part of that.
We will always have ass and elbows when the Braves won the World Series a couple of years ago, and there was not a better guy in that dugout than the Wash-isms, that you would just hear something over the years and go, where did that one come from? I will miss that. I will miss the chop busting that would go on in the dugout before a game. You would see it during spring training, and I'm also going to miss EY as well. I mean, that's the other part of this too, is that you're losing both your base coaches, one who worked with your infielders, one who worked with your outfielders. And EY, a guy, who knows, maybe Wash is trying to groom him to manage someday.
Yeah, it's gonna. I wasn't sure if he was going to get the bench coach job, and it looks like it's going to be third base. But there's an opportunity, again, to be seen by more people in a different role. And that's what you're hoping for. Again, over a year ago, I said, if and when this lineup of guys changes, it won't be one guy.
Right.
If Walt was going to go manage, somebody was going to go with him, whether it was Sal Fasano. If Ron got a job, if EY got a job, something was going to change. And now there's 2 openings, and they can take their time a little bit. But it is going to be interesting to see when you go first base, third base. I don't know if there's somebody down in the minors. I don't know if there's somebody they absolutely want who might be in the organization, or somebody that Snitnose or Alex can agree on. But they're coveted positions.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. He's going to be missed, as a guy, as a baseball guy, baseball lifer, but I don't think there's anybody who's not happy about the idea that when a guy wants to do something and he's afforded an opportunity to come back from sort of all the shit that he, and again, self-inflicted, but he earned his right to be back. His reputation around the game was absolutely good enough to get him back to that seat.
I already looked it up. Braves are in Los Angeles this year.
Okay.
Angels will be here in 2025. So you have to wait a year and a half to welcome Wash back to town. So that won't happen this summer.
You know, and you also think by the hiring now, when you're talking about free agency, he's going to be involved in that.
Yeah.
He knows what characters he wants. He knows what he's probably looking for in the dugout. It's not going to be his final decision. That's a GM thing. But I would imagine Perry Manassian is going to take a guy who's got 71 years old, 50 years in the game, and he's going to ask him, or they're going to talk now, what do we have to do to win the games that we're losing? Because we relied on Ohtani to pitch, Trout to hit, Rendon who hasn't been there. I think you have to stop relying on those guys.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about trade possibilities, Juan Soto. To me, Mike Trout is a trade possibility. I just don't know what his value is and what the organization would do because, again, they're going to take a hit.
Yeah.
The owner, in my opinion, should have sold when he had a chance to sell. Now he's going to feel the wrath of not winning, but maybe not having the luxury of drawing what he's drawn.
It'll be interesting to see how it all goes. We all wish Wash the best out in sunny Southern California. Now the question becomes, how do the Braves fill these two voids? Could one of those guys be internal? Potentially a Matt Tuiasosopo, the AAA Gwinnett manager. He's been around the organization. Matter of fact, he filled in for Wash when he was out last year going into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. That's, I think, is one name to keep an eye on. I'm sure there'll be a laundry list of names we'll hear come out here over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and now, the GM meetings are done.
Yeah.
We got the winter meetings coming up. And it'll be, again, you and I will absolutely be talking about that. It's in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about, I don't know about you.
You take a ride?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so.
All right.
Maybe I'd like to,
All right.
see if I can, I don't want to say help out, but certainly watch to see what's happening. Real quick, I did read something, and we'll end with this. Juan Soto is a guy that's got 1 year left. And I brought up Max Fried the other day. And I said, would San Diego think about, if they have to, now the owner seems to, the general manager wants to keep Soto, but that's what you're supposed to say. Is Max Fried a possible trade candidate? 1 year left on a deal. I know they want and need him this year. But is there something you could do knowing you're not going to sign him? I just finally, after bringing that up the other day, this morning, saw 3 potential spots for Max Fried. Somebody wrote a piece. Baltimore Orioles were one. I don't want to go into any other details, but they picked 3 cities that might make sense on a Max Fried deal this year. Not free agency next year.
Yeah.
The possibility of a deal this year.
Well,
so I wasn't sure I was going to read that, but I did.
The one thing I will say is that Alex Anthopoulos has not been shy. He has not been scared to make some decisions that on the surface deem very unpopular in this town. See Freddie Freeman, see Dansby Swanson. Could that be another one? With 1 year left on the deal, it feels like this is going to be the walk year. It doesn't seem like, at least to this point, he's in the long-term plans.
Here's the other part. You can qualify him, obviously, as a draft pick. Or you can go get talent that might actually be contracted or controllable contracts longer. It'll be interesting. Look, I'm nervous. Mike Soroka, Ian Anderson. We know that Kyle Wright is gone. What's Bryce Elder going to do because it didn't end very well for him? Can I make sure that I get him as many innings as I did from Spencer Strider? I'm not telling you that trading Max Fried makes you a better team today, if that ever happened. But I would look at what you get back and go, okay, if you weren't going to sign him long-term, is there something where you can make up for that pitching? Now, it'd be easy to say, well, go replace him with Aaron Nola. Go replace him with Blake Snell. I don't know if that could happen.
Yeah.
Get rid of Fried, get talent back, and then sign a free agent. You still might be a pitcher or two short when all is said and done. And I didn't mention Charlie Morton, who, at 40 years old, may I?
Sure. I'm right there. No pun intended either with the finger issue that he dealt with at the end of last season.
I can move my fingers, and I can do this or not do this.
Yeah.
I would choose to do this with both hands.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Look, I still feel like they need another starter. Now if the Max Fried thing becomes a thing.
I don't know if it will. Somebody wrote it.
Yeah.
Brought it up, and I was like, well, call San Diego. We want Soto for a year.
Yeah.
Put him in left field, and let's just bang.
Yeah.
Let's just bang around for a year and see what happens. But I don't know. We'll see. They've got decisions to make. A lot of stuff doesn't happen at the winter meetings anymore, but there could be groundwork laid for the stuff that can happen in January and February.
I know there'll be a lot of drinking going on at the winter meetings. That's always the case. You go by the lobby bar, you go by the karaoke. There's always a lot of partying.
Bachelorette parties, bachelor parties, riding and bicycles.
Yeah.
I took a tractor. I got hammered on a tractor in Nashville. I'm not even lying about that. The guy had a tractor, and then we were in this thing behind it. And when I tell you it was like 3 hours of just drinking, it was fairly phenomenal. I don't know if I could do it again, but I wouldn't mind maybe giving it a shot.
Well, I would tell you, if you were going to plan on doing that, and if you're taking a ride up to Nashville,
I'm flasking.
I'm
There's no doubt about it. I'm flasking.
this is the one I need to try next time. The cask strength bourbon whiskey, 117.5 proof. That would certainly get your party started pretty early on.
I will tell you, Saturday night, this is on my children's 4 eyes. Thank you, by the way, for the bottles. I two-fingered twice with my neurosurgeon.
Oh, boy.
Like, literally. He just said, what are you on tonight? I said, well, nothing really. He said, all right, so we had a couple of cocktails and watched a little college football.
Yeah.
And I dreamt of what free agents he was going to bring to the Atlanta Braves that night.
Did you come up with any solutions yet? No, it's still a little fuzzy. Yeah, I did that the other night. I actually had a bottle of the whiskey at home, the Old Dominic, and we were watching the Thursday night football game, which was an absolute snooze fest. And I think my buddy Trav and I had 3 or 4 more one-mores. So I'm going to, the folks at Old Dominic, this is great stuff, but we might need a refill here in the distant future.
I also probably, again, I don't know if I could walk on that tractor or one of those bicycles with this. You sort of look like, but I will be flasking.
Yeah.
I will be flasking that day.
There you go.
I am going to go to the winter meetings. I just decided.
He's decided.
I'm going.
Road trip. There you go. Well, we want to thank the fine folks at Old Dominic. Whether you're looking for the bourbon, the whiskey, something a little lighter, a little clear liquor, they've got it covered. And, of course, we'll continue to cheers to baseball. And, of course, you and I will be cheersing and raising a glass to Ron Washington and all that he meant to this town. So big thanks to Old Dominic. Big thanks to you for tuning in. And we'll do it again next week as we continue with the hot stove. And we inch closer to Dimino's trip to the winter meetings here on the Braves Radio Network.